right, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. And hi to everyone on the recording who's catching this after the fact. We're sorry you couldn't be here to join us in person. We're going to have a great session here, our Women in Technology panel, which we've been looking forward to and preparing for a few weeks now. My name is Elizabeth Pemmerl. I manage the global enterprise sales business at GitHub. And that means I get to work with Hubbers all across the world, bringing the glory and greatness of GitHub to enterprise customers. And as part of that work, I get to interact with a variety of Hubbers from different communities, including our Women in Revenue network. And I'm really pleased to serve as an executive sponsor of that group. In that group, we celebrate one another. We spotlight great trends we're hearing and seeing in the industry. And we talk a lot about the work our customers are doing, and there's a lot to celebrate there. And so today is about hearing from some of those all-stars we have in our customer network, a bit about the work they're doing, the perspectives on their own careers and trajectories, and hopefully some tips and best practices. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them and invite them to join us here in the front of the room. Thanks, ladies.
Hopefully we won't fall off our chairs.
Try not to fall.
Yes, exactly. All right, thank you, Elizabeth. All right, before we get started, I want to make sure that we're introducing ourselves to you all and to those folks that are watching the recording. I'll start. I'm Stephanie Sheehan. I'm with GitHub. I'm the director for the East Coast Enterprise team. So hello, everybody that I don't know. And I'm just going to ask the panelists to go down the line here and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their career journey and any tips that they can share from their journey so far.
I'm Becky Riss, and I'm with Ford Motor Company. And I am responsible for the developer tools and relations for the company. So we build awesome platforms and manage tools to help accelerate the developers' experience in delivering the awesome code that support our vehicles and our company.
Yeah. I'm Lucia. I have been in technical role for 15 years, and 14 of that 15 years have been at Mercado Libre. So I'm part of the building, I think, back in the company. I'm responsible for the developer productivity and happiness. Yeah, and we are a Latin America company, so we are in a different region probably. And I'm really passionate about this topic, so I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
My name is Julie Davila. I'm currently federal CTO for Sophos. We're a cybersecurity vendor. We operate at a global scale. My main responsibility sort of straddles product management, engineering, and sales with the federal bias to best serve that customer base. My own background is deeply technical. And fun fact, at a startup I co-founded prior to my current role, I was GitHub's first advanced security customer. And that was our claim to fame.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Angelica Gligic. I run software development for Estee Lauder companies. My team's responsible for front-end, back-end system, cross-platform systems to build, test, and release applications. We are just getting started with advanced security, and we strive to build reliable and secure applications.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So as you can see, we have a diverse group here. And we know here at GitHub, inclusion and diversity is very important to us. So what I've asked the panelists to do is to really share some of how they bring inclusion and diversity and that culture to their organizations. So Becky, I was reading and listening to an interview you had probably a couple of months ago on KubeCon, and you mentioned that Ford has a culture that makes you want to stay. Can you talk about that secret sauce and what that is, and how you make sure that that stays alive within your team?
Yeah, it's been a wonderful company to work for. I just celebrated my 29th year as a Ford employee. And some of the things that have been wonderful about working for Ford is our programs that we have that allow people the flexibility that they need through their lives to do what they want to do with their families. So myself, I worked part-time for 11 years and was able to raise 3 children. And that was a wonderful experience for me. And I led the Flexible Women's Network at Ford for several years to help them decide what program might be right for them. But we found half of our members were men, because men too need flexibility. And then as time has gone on, I've seen the need, as our workforce has aged, elder care and the needs of people to work more flexibly to support their parents. And that was a dimension that when I first started wasn't necessarily on the horizon, but that's a big thing for us too. We have a lot of different employee resource groups. I'm involved with the Women of Ford Technology, and I lead the mentoring group for the Ford China Association. I'm not Chinese, but I value diversity, and I try to be involved with as many different of our employee resource groups to encourage their growth into becoming the leaders that we need for diverse work teams.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. And kind of to add to that, I know, Lucia, you had mentioned on one of our calls when we were getting to know each other a little bit better that working in technology and having this opportunity and opportunities like this for other folks, especially in your organization, provides economic independence. Can you share a little bit about that and how you influence young women in Latin America to be able to have that same economic independence?
Yeah, that's so relevant for me and for the region. And like I said, we are a Latin America company, so we run on Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, but a lot of countries in Latin America. And I have met women that, thanks to getting a job in a technology field, and thanks to that, they will be able to change the reality where they are living, and they escape bad situations and bad reality thanks to having a job and technology. And it's such a privileged field in Latin America to be able to fulfill in that area. And I think it's so relevant to help not only women, but people from different society to be able to have a way to escape the reality where they are and change it to the one that they want to be, right? And that's one of the reasons why in Mercado Libre I'm part of the team that create an onboarding program for people that are getting their first job in technology. So we invest 2 months making sure that they know the technical aspect of their role and leveraging skilling. And also we invest time to improve self-confidence and improve to have a voice and not just learn the culture, but also to learn how to be successful in this world, right? And it's a really big investment, but that allows us to hire a lot of women in different fields that we will not be hired in the past. We hire women with different backgrounds that we will not consider in the past because they didn't have the tools or the skill set that we needed. But thanks to this program, we will be able to transform these profiles or this, right? Mm-hmm. And be able to plant like seeds within the company that I hope will grow and build a career in Mercado Libre, just like I did. I started as a junior developer, and 14 years later, I'm a senior director, like managing multiple teams and being able to create this type of programs that I think change. They are like a little change in this world. So yeah.
Yep, thank you for sharing. And just one note, if anybody's interested in learning more, everyone is going to make themselves available after this session. So if you want to help everyone with their organizations or learn a little bit about how you can bring this to your companies, we're here to help, we're here to share, and I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this session. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then, Julie, on your LinkedIn profile, in big, bold letters at the top, it says, "First be kind, everything else can wait." And I know emotional quotient is really a big part of someone who is a successful leader, especially when you're thinking about an inclusive and diverse and equitable culture. Can you share with me how you embody that within your organization, and then also make sure that you're not trapped in a double bind? And sometimes when people think of someone who's kind, they think that they're also not efficient or professional, because when you look at women in leadership roles, everyone's like, oh, they're kind, but they're not effective. And that is not a true statement at all. So if you could just share with us your experience and how you bring kindness to work.
Yeah, of course. So on the topic of kindness, I sort of break it down into sort of 3 buckets in which it can fit. Sort of kindness to the individual, like the person that you work with, your direct report. Kindness to your team, like what is kind for your team, and then lastly to your customer or to the end user of the thing you're actually working on. And I think those are kind of the 3 categories. But the one that's kind of the most tactical, the most tangible is sort of the kindness to the individual. And so an example of this, something that I encourage all leaders to do, especially women that have skip level reports, right? At a point where you have managers reporting to you and then people reporting to them, is to have those skip one-on-ones to identify areas in which not only like women, but also anybody from an underrepresented background may have been sort of overlooked or just not given an opportunity to shine as maybe some of their peers may have had. And this is something that not too long ago, even within my current company, Sophos, had the opportunity to identify a young woman who just simply had never been given the opportunity to do difficult things, to prove that she could do difficult things. And that was one of the opportunities we were able to give her hard work. Turns out she kicked ass at it, and that set her up for a subsequent promotion and pay raise. Not even 6 months later. So it's those kinds of things of not only being kind and how you react to things, but also being proactively kind and identifying areas in which people maybe historically haven't experienced that level of kindness within the organization.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else have anything to add there? No? Okay, so Angelica, on to you. I know you talk about, you've seen in your career a lot of women either detouring or off-ramping, and that is something that has concerned you because inclusion and diversity is something at Estee Lauder companies that you really want to embody to get all the value that we typically see in an inclusive, diverse culture around creativity and collaboration. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you're trying to bring what you called resiliency to the organization and how some folks here can kind of share and maybe add to that or bring that to their organizations?
Thanks for asking this question.
I know it's you're very passionate about this.
I am. So where do I start? So to me, it's very personal because as a woman who came here as an immigrant and had to build up my way upwards from a developer to the current position that I'm at, I've gone personally through many different experiences. I've been mugged because of my accent. I got laid off after giving birth to a child in my prior careers. And I had to build up resiliency, and I had to prove others wrong. The fact that regardless of the challenges that I faced, I can move forward as a strong woman. I can move forward in my career. The way I've done it and what I do today as a leader, speak to other peers at the leadership. I tell them about the fact that women that we hire, they are here because they have talent. They're here because they are capable. Let's not go hard on them. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's work with them. Let's create safe communities where they can share the challenges they face day in, day out, and make sure we support them. What we do at Estee Lauder today, we have a very strong community of women where Jane Lauder herself came to sponsor our benefit program and speak about the fact how strong the community is. We have a very good skilling up program for entry-level developers, for mid-level, even not necessarily developers, people from other departments who are interested in certain other opportunities. We create safe environments where it's okay to discuss things don't go right. The reality is, it's not always perfect. That is just the way it is. But it's something that we do not need to overthink. We do not need to be apologetic. We just need to show that we are capable and prove to yourself, not to others, just to yourself, the fact that you can achieve so much more.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to switch gears just a teeny bit, but it's still along the lines of career inclusion and diversity and people and their the folks in the audience and that will be online, and any career advice that we can share with some of the folks who are earlier in career. As you've gone through your career, as you've achieved the levels that you've achieved today, what are some of the skills, strategies that you would share that you think have gotten you most often to the position that you're in today and you think will help future developers, future leaders get to a path that you're on and kind of success that you see in folks like yourselves?
So my advice to anybody who is out there looking for something different, pick something that scares you. Pick something that scares you a little. You will learn the most, and you will see your resilience kind of come through and shine through and figure things out, figure hard things out. My biggest advancements in my career have been when my mentor has tapped me on the shoulder and said, you need to go do this, and it scared me to death. I didn't think I could do it, and I learned the most and actually was successful at it. So if you look at a job posting and it scares you, look a little more at it, because those are the transformational roles that will actually fill your toolbox, that will make you better overall and move forward. When you're comfortable, that's when you know it's time to move. Mm-hmm. When you get a little bit jaded because you're solving the same problem again, it's time for someone else with fresh ideas to come in and for you to move to something else where your fresh ideas can come through. So I always say, whenever you feel those ways, you know that's your signal to move on. But if you're a leader, an advice for you here is look at the potential in your organization and invite people to take different roles. So that's how I work my network. If I have a job opening and I know someone from the network that I have, I say, I know this isn't what you're doing now, but I think you'd be really good at it. Sometimes just being invited to take a look at something is all that they were waiting for, right? It gives them the confidence to do it. So if you're a leader, look for those potential people, right? And ask them and invite them to be considered.
Thanks.
Great
Yeah.
advice. Thank you. I'm taking notes. It's difficult to summarize just in one tip or one advice, but for me the most important was to ask why. I ask the why of things. I think it's important to understand when someone asks you to do something, your leader or even your CEO, I don't care. You need to ask, why are we going to do this? Which is the goal behind this task? Because I think that's the best way for you to be involved and actually help to achieve that goal, to understanding why we are doing it and not just what we are doing.
You could have 2 or 3 if you like. 2 or 3.
Okay, thank you. Because
Yeah, you don't need to just do one.
I have to think a lot about that one. And the other one, I think it will be pay attention on where you put your energy and time, right? Not just to be a productive member of the society, but just because there are a lot of things that they call claw your think. For example, I remember someone coming to me after an important meeting and saying, hey, you were extra nervous because you were the only woman presenting a new idea. You were extra, or how do you prepare different for that? And I remember thinking oh, I never thought about that. I was just concentrated in pitching my new idea, and I really wanted to do it and convince my boss to do it. And I never thought that I was going to be the only woman. And I don't pay attention to that in that situation because it would put me a lot of extra burn and nervous that they were not necessary. So pay attention on the thoughts that you have and how do you spend your energy and time. So 2.
There you go.
Thank you.
On my side, I really have kind of 2 things that for me have paid off the most amount of dividends over the course of my career. First one was really intentionally, and even to this day, building a network. And what does that mean? It's not just sending a LinkedIn connection request. It's not just going to an industry happy hour or a conference after party or whatever. It's actually trying to get to know people at a human level. Because that's ultimately what creates the connection. It's not purely an exchange of material value. It's an exchange of the human interaction, and that pays off hugely. So for me, career-wise, my first kind of real adult, my first adult job, if you will, was in the Army, and that was the last job I ever sort of traditionally applied for. Everything else has been a function of network, even in my current role today. And the people that took me onto those roles were people that I still consider friends to this day. And it's because of that human level interaction. And for a lot of people, especially women, it can be really intimidating to approach random strangers, even at an industry conference. And sort of the one-liner I give to people that are well, how do I start? Right? At a place like this, you can go up to someone you don't know, they look interesting, maybe they don't, doesn't matter, and say, hey, I don't think I've met you before. My name is Julie, or whatever your name is. What's your name? And then just start having a conversation with the intent of connecting with them as a person, not necessarily trying to extract value for yourself right off the bat. The second part that has really helped me in my career is really investing on how I manage my own knowledge, right? So the knowledge management space, like read books on how to take notes, take a knowledge management course. Building a second brain is one of my favorite ones that I've taken personally. And especially in technical roles, you go through so much knowledge, you read so many books, documentation, you try different things that don't work out, and the better you can document that for yourself, the less you're going to have to remember because you've documented that properly. So really investing in how you mature your own knowledge management is a really, really big thing that I always recommend to people.
Excellent, thanks. Angelica?
Agree with everything that was said. From myself, a few things that I would highlight. If you are a part of a team and for whatever reason, some of your team members got invited to a meeting and you didn't, do not take it personal. Approach someone who is coordinating a meeting on a specific topic and highlight to that person how you can add to the conversation if you're passionate about something. If you are being dismissed in a meeting and you brought up a point that you feel strongly about, but it was not taken into the account, approach people afterwards and explain how you feel this was a very good supportive argument or idea. Independently, continue building up your tech stack and build prototypes to showcase to others how you can increase your value on a team, how you can help with certain goals or projects. And do not stop, just to reiterate some of the points that were said, do not stop when you get to a comfort zone. Get outside the comfort zone and continue exploring something new that you don't know about. If you are applying for a job and not all the points check in, that's okay and that's normal.
Excellent, thank you. And I think we have time for a couple of questions if you guys are open to some rapid fire over here. Anybody have any questions in the audience?
I can start. My name's Tran. I work in the tech field. I'm a product manager.
Oh, hold on one second. We're going to get a microphone for you.
Okay.
So my question for all of you is, so I participate in the Women in Tech in my company, and a lot of the reoccurring conversation we have is around imposter syndrome, feeling like, yeah, that word's enough. So I don't know if there's anything that you all have done in your groups that helps people, mentee, like overcome imposter syndrome and all of that. Yeah.
So I can start. In our Women of Ford group, there's two things that come to my mind, but you may have heard of I Am Remarkable. I think Google started it. It's a great program. You can look online and see what that's about. We have trained facilitators. We actually were nominated for the I Am Remarkable Award this year for the work that our company has done. But it's to help women recognize the accomplishments that they are having. One of the things, the second piece of advice I say, and it's perfect time of year, all of you, to think of this, end of the year as we wrap up, is what I do and what I suggest to all of my mentees is put together a list of your accomplishments. Now, I'm a visual person, so I like drag things into PowerPoint, I make pretty graphics, and I do that stuff. Not only does it give me self-confidence in actually what I've contributed, but it's a really great marketing thing to show your boss right before they give you your final review. It's all top of mind, and it's like a marketing package about your accomplishments. Then you put it on the shelf, and you use that as your resume. So when you're looking for new opportunities, it's a really great resource to have, kind of your year in reviews, to look back, to prepare for interviews, to customize resumes for. So that boosts my confidence every year when I think back to say, what are all the things that me and my team did? So a couple tips.
Yeah.
And also, please trust your team. If you are like a disaster at your job, someone will tell you that. Like, don't worry about it. Like, if nobody is telling you that, it's just in your head. Like, yeah.
Something I've done in my last few roles where really the last few, I've really quite frankly felt like kind of unqualified for every last job that I've had. And the thing that's really helped me is a concept. I did not invent this concept of giving yourself an aim. And what does that mean? It means, at the start of a new role, pre-writing a letter to myself from the perspective of me a year from then, talking about like all the kick-ass things I did over the course of the year, even though I haven't done them yet, as a way to sort of kickstart the confidence and being like, okay, like I can do this, and I'm patting myself on the back, kind of it's a self-aggrandizing a little bit, but it's really helpful in terms of kind of not only setting a direction for yourself, but also feeling like less of an imposter, like, okay, this is now tangible, it's in front of me, and I'm pretty sure I can do a good job of it. And that's been really helpful for me personally.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering if you had any suggestions for especially impactful ways to shine a light on a colleague, a mentor, a teammate, a project, even a boss, or someone that you report to in a way that feels like genuine and authentic, and not just boasting for the sake of boasting, but really like helping to impact the career of someone around you.
I can.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Some of the strategies that I've done is to bring this person along into a meeting, if it's a junior person, with my leadership, and to make sure that all of the things that this person delivered are being presented effectively, and the person knows that this specific person is being recognized. If it's a leader that you're trying to call out, I would say, in my company we have no door policy, so I can go to a skip level leader and speak to them, and again, highlight again and again some of the things that this leader helped me achieve, and how they supported me.
And I'm going to throw something in there too. Sometimes it's just as easy as sending an email to their manager and saying, here's the fabulous job this person did, because when it goes to, and I don't know if you're a hubber or not, when you're going through their when they have their reflective, then they can add that to their reflective, and it's now it's memorialized. So I think that's one way. Or just, I don't know if, I handed out mints at RKO that said, thank you for this. And people were like, oh my God. And literally, I know it was a couple bucks. So sometimes it's the little things that mean the most.
I think in that same vein, just like how you can do it over an email, I think for especially those of us in leadership positions, doing that same thing, but on like LinkedIn and like actually tagging them in a post can be really effective, because you highlight them not only in their network, but in your own network.
Correct.
And you amplify the subsequent impact there.
Excellent. All right, I think that's all the time we have for questions. So, maybe one more? Okay, one more.
I was curious, for those of you who started in a more technical engineering role and transitioned into a managerial role, like what made you make that decision, and how did your challenges, like specifically as a woman, change?
So speaking from my own experience, that's not a decision I took intentionally. It was something just through the course of work. It was just something that was presented to me, and then I was just like, okay, sure, let's give it a go, see what happens. And things do change, right? When you go from an individual contributor into management, and like the double bind issue was brought up, and the issue of double bind, that concept of you're damned if you're too kind and you're damned if you're too confident. Right, that also changes, right? Because when you're an individual contributor, those types of things matter slightly less than when you start having like board level meetings, right? Where it's almost an entirely a soft skill interaction. So it's something that has had to be kind of tuned with each sort of subsequent level in my career, is how that's managed, right? Maybe it's a lot easier to be super assertive as an engineer when everything is sort of black and white, right? Either it passes a test or it doesn't, right? Like there's not much you can do to soften that up. But then as you sort of move through the ranks, if you will, you just have to tailor it. And it's going to be different on an individual basis and on an environment basis, right? Whether you're in government or a startup, it's going to be a very different interaction in that sense.
And also, let me just add something, just in case you were thinking about that, you don't have to transfer to a management position if you want to grow, right? That's important. Sorry if I say something wrong, but if you're in a company that cannot allow you to grow in a technical path, and you want to, maybe you can look for other companies. No, but I mean, like, there are ways to grow and have a career and staying in touch with the technical role, and not the only way to grow is not having hundreds of people in your team. You know, you can be a single contributor and still grow. So, like, don't think that that's not an option. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm curious about like the decision, because at least in our company, like you can either go down like a technical route or a more managerial route.
Many companies they have options. And in my career, I've wove back and forth. And that's an option too. So whenever the opportunity comes up, you can decide where you want to go.
Excellent.
Well, do we have a sec to it?
Quick comment.
I made a decision because I felt strongly about helping others to elevate them. I was a developer, I went through some of the challenges, and I wanted to make an impact. And to be honest, I continue developing at my own time, and I think that only makes me stronger as a leader. The only big difference to me, it's now not my moment to shine, it's for my team to shine. This is an opportunity for you to elevate others. It's an opportunity for you to help others grow. As a leader, you do that a lot, and you do it in a very constructive way. You find ways to do that. So if you feel your voice is strong enough and can help your community grow, it's not going to stop you from being who you are. It can help others.
Excellent. Well said. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time and patience. Thank you to this wonderful panel. And thank you so much to you, to folks that are listening to this after the fact. Together, we can make this community all better and develop for our customers and for the world. So thanks again. If you guys have any questions, we will be outside. Thank you, everybody here, for all your great answers.